Well, you have FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel kind of making the rounds, doing these interviews. They're giving little breadcrumbs about what's to come. They talked about Dan Bongino, I saw this morning, talking about Jeffrey Epstein did kill himself. We're going to be releasing video on that. And then he was asked, you have video of him killing himself? He's like, no, but there's video to just show that he was alone in his cell. And we're going to be releasing it, and we'll make sure that it's high quality so everyone can tell that that's what it is. And so I think that they're trying to save face for the unanswered questions that we still have on major happenings. One of those is, of course, what happened on January 6th. Number one, how many feds were involved in it and led it potentially. And number two, how about that mysterious pipe bomber that they could track every single person who was in DC that day. They could track all sorts of things, and they couldn't figure out who that pipe bomber was. And here's what Dan Bongino had to say about that much.
So the moment Kash and I swore in, we realized that the first thing we had to do is rebuild public trust. This is your FBI. It's not mine. I tell the employees every day, you don't own it, you don't own it, I don't own it. It's like being the center fielder for the Yankees. That'll live with you forever, but you don't own the Yankees. It's a proud franchise. The place has taken a reputational hit. There is zero question about it. There were a lot of bad actors. One of them still out there causing us all kinds of trouble. So we had to fix it and rebuild public trust. One of the ways to do it is these cases of significant public interest that matter. You know, we had 2 pipe bombs planted on January 6th. I mean, we were told by partisan actors out there this was the insurrection, the world was going to fall apart, and no one seemed to show any interest in this case. The second we got in, I put a team on it, and I said, I want answers on this. And I'm pretty confident that we're closing in on some suspects.
Closing in on some suspects. So we may find out which Capitol police officer that was that did that.
Which FBI agent?
which Fed went and planted that pipe bomb, which, remember, our very own Steve Baker has uncovered an incredible amount of information on this.
Yeah, do a little shameless plug here for the Blaze. Yeah. Truth about J6th. Go subscribe. I'm pretty sure you can go to blazetv.com/J6th or Jan6th, one of those codes. But
I'm going to look right now.
Little shameless plug there. Yeah, I think you know, you have so many of these issues. James Comey is out there. So first he posted a threat against Donald Trump.
8647.
Basically, 8647, written in seashells that he just stumbled upon.
Oh, wow, look at this mysterious, there it is, mysterious formation.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
He magically stumbled upon the seashell formation. He's just randomly finding this Trump derangement syndrome art on the beach that he's at, of course. I think he handpicked those and put them together himself for a nice little girly Instagram picture. That's beside the point. Also, this guy is a freak, okay? I went and looked through his Instagram after this, like after that incident. He's got about like every other like 5 or 6 posts. It's like something about pride or transgenderism.
Really?
Or like, it is bizarre. I think this guy, there's probably more than he lets on. But he posted that 8647 thing, and then like the next day he's on CNN saying that he was targeted by Trump, and that he was calling half of the country white supremacists.
Yep.
Which is like crazy. So he's threatening the president, the former FBI director, and then he's calling for about half the country to be thrown into gulags. Like, why is this guy? Why are all these people? Him, Mayorkas, all you know what? If they wanted to rebuild some public trust for the FBI, I want to see some raids on these people.
Yeah.
Why is Comey still out there allowed to go walk around and show his face at CNN?
Yep.
Why is he allowed out there? Why is Mayorkas allowed out there? Why are all of these people who committed crimes against America still free and roaming around and just living their lives? Like, no, we need to see some arrests. You want to rebuild trust? That's one of the first things you can do.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts, Matt. But let's go ahead and play.
And I still trust Bongino and Kash. I don't want to.
Sure.
I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing them, but this is things are out of hand, and we need some justice.
And if you know, I mean, he just acknowledged, this is not my FBI. This is your FBI. This is the American people's FBI. Okay, well, do something for us. To Logan's point, though, I want to play James Comey going on CNN. Oh, I'm just the victim. Poor me. I just didn't know what. I was the FBI director. I didn't know what 86 meant. Don't blame me. Watch.
You called Trump's attacks against you life-altering. What did you mean by that?
Well, when the president of the United States aims at you, it changes your life a number of ways. Obviously, it gives him rental space in your head temporarily. I think I've now got him out over the garage in my mental space.
He's talking about
but
it right now.
It causes people to aim at you, at your family members, which is my biggest concern, with hate, with bad language, with social media abuse.
No,
and
not
that's
bad
not a good place to be.
language.
Dirty words.
Oh, no. He's really the victim here.
Sounds like a little girl. I mean, it's like, people are mean to me online.
He aimed at me. That wasn't very nice. All I did was call for his assassination. Nothing to warrant this type of hate.
Look. This is the amazing thing about what we're seeing. We're seeing all this with the judges because before we were like, what is going on? Like, this can't really be happening. Same thing with what was going on with the FBI, where they were targeting certain individuals. And you're like, no, that can't be happening. I have never, ever put a social media post out like that because I'm not a idiot.
Yeah, you're not retarded.
Right? Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm not an idiot. I'm also not the director of the FBI. True. You would like to think that he has a little bit more sense than doing something like that, regardless of whether he was in or out. We talk about The Office, right? I've always said this. If Joe Biden, not that he would have done it because he didn't know what he was doing, invited me to the White House, I would go.
See, I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't, but here's the thing.
I wouldn't.
No, but here's the thing. Because it's the White House, it's the presidency. And I have a lot of respect for that, even though I don't respect him. Like, I cannot stand the fact that these sports stars are saying, I'm not going to, because it's about the country. It's not about the individual. Hang on a minute. The office of the FBI needs to be, as Dan Bongino just said, totally impartial, needs to be about the people, not about the individuals. I don't want to know James Comey's name. I don't want to know the name of the FBI director. I don't. I just want them to go and do their jobs. I don't want them to be celebrities. I don't want them to be selling books. And I certainly don't want to know about them on Instagram doing stupid things like that.
It's also funny because Comey's, I also found this in my Instagram investigations after the 8647 post. But he has a new book coming out.
Yep.
It's about, essentially, when you read the summary of what the book is about a right-wing podcaster who Comey does not like and who he's trying to figure out how he can frame for crimes for free speech. So he is like, the book is essentially about how the government should be able to take down and make the case against a right-wing podcaster who's gone too far, and take them off the air and blame them for like violence, right-wing violence of their supporter, of like the podcast listeners or whatever. It's truly deranged. Yeah. I mean, this is like, to think that this man was the head of our secret spy agency, like, is crazy. Nuts. You need to get, another thing you could do is just straight up clean house. Like, we need all of these people, every single one of these people who participated, who were complicit in this stuff. I mean, it was straight up, it was literal tyranny. Yeah. And I actually had an FBI, under Joe Biden, I had three FBI agents show up to my apartment last year with like, I wasn't there, but they asked my roommate if I was there, and they knew my name.
I remember this.
Yeah, and they knew my name. It's like, what the hell? Didn't you? There are 20 million illegals flooding into our country, and I'm the problem? Like, some like innocent kid who does posts on Twitter, like,
you shit posted about these illegals, and they didn't like it.
It's unbelievable. It was literal tyranny. It was a police state. I shudder to think what would have happened if the Democrats got in again. And that's why, like, this can never, what happened the last 4 years under the Democrats can never, ever, 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 ever be allowed to happen to our country again. We were very, very close to the brink. And, you know, That's what, you're going to have to overturn some norms and some precedents to change that, but we can never allow that to happen to our country again.
Well, to your point, Kash and Bongino, I think they need to start making some moves here because we don't have time to play the clip, but Dan Bongino was, during that interview, he was like, well, we found a room with all of this hidden evidence under the Comey era. We found bags. We found all this evidence that was hidden under Jim Comey's FBI. So it's like, okay, guys, if you're willing to tell us that, what are we doing about it? What are we doing about it? Because that guy definitely needs to be held accountable. All the illegal FISA court, everything.
Yeah, the Russia collusion. We didn't even get into the Russia.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
this guy needs to be held accountable for all of it.
He's a crook. And you know
is a
what?
total scumbag.
But there's this precedent as well where people say, well, you don't prosecute the guys that came before you. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. You do when they're criminals.
You do if they're criminals.
Well, and that's what gets me about the rhinos in the GOP. They're like, oh, well, we don't want to stoop to their level. Like, listen, they started the game. We will end the game. Okay, especially when they are the actual criminals. Like they are projecting.
Exactly. It's also utterly ridiculous because they prosecuted us for 0 crimes committed.
Yes.
And they've committed crimes and we're not prosecuting.
And we're not supposed to prosecute that. Like they are the actual criminals. I realize that they gaslit us for many years, but I think that we should be able to just separate fact from, reality from fantasy land and okay, well, they called us criminals. They were over there committing crimes. So let's prosecute the hell out of them so this never happens again. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you do. Click here.